There's a moment that doesn't look dramatic from the outside. No thunder, no explosion, just you. Maybe at night, maybe in the middle of an ordinary afternoon, suddenly realizing you've been living in a loop, like a song you didn't choose, playing on repeat behind your thoughts. And you can feel it in your chest, like a quiet ache that refuses to be distracted. Something in you is ready to shift, but something else is still clinging. And the truth is sharp, but it's also kind. Your life won't change until this version of you dies. Not the real you, not your spirit, not your softness, not your dreams. The version I'm talking about is the one built out of defense, the one that learned how to survive, how to anticipate, how to carry disappointment before it arrives, just so it hurts less. The one that calls overthinking being responsible. The one that calls numbness being strong. The one that keeps a tight grip on the familiar, even when the familiar is slowly suffocating you. That version has been trying to protect you, but it's also been keeping you small. And if you've been feeling restless lately, or oddly emotional, or irritated by things that never used to bother you, it might not be because you're falling apart. It might be because you're outgrowing your old self-concept. Like a coat that fit you when you were younger, but now it pinches your shoulders every time you try to lift your arms. You can't stretch into your future while wearing an identity stitched together from your past. So today, I'm going to help you recognize what has to end, why it's been so hard to release it, and how to let it dissolve without turning your life into a battle. And before we go deeper, let's build this field together. If this speaks to you, subscribe, leave a like, and comment one word that matches what you're choosing now. One word only. Something like rebirth, or truth, or power. Not as a hope, as a decision. Because when you place a word into the world, you're not just talking to an algorithm. You're making an agreement with yourself. And agreements shape reality, more than most people realize. Now breathe with me gently. Not forced, just honest. Because your body already knows what your mind keeps debating. That tightness you feel when you imagine taking the risk. That heaviness when you think about staying the same. Those are signals. Your system is responding to two different versions of you, pulling in opposite directions. One is built for survival. One is built for expansion. And the friction you feel isn't a punishment. It's a sign that you're standing at the edge of a new timeline. Here's what most people don't understand. Change isn't blocked because you're not smart enough, or not deserving enough, or not lucky enough. Change is blocked because your inner identity is still loyal to the old conditions. You can ask for a new life with your words, but if your assumptions are still anchored in the old story, you keep selecting the same outcomes. You keep collapsing into the same reality. Not because you're cursed, because your energy keeps returning to what it recognizes as normal, even when normal is painful. So the question becomes simple, and it's the kind of question that can make your throat tighten if you answer it honestly. What version of you are you feeding every day? The one who trusts, or the one who braces? The one who receives, or the one who controls? The one who speaks, or the one who swallows? Because the version you feed is the version that lives. And the version that lives is the version that keeps recreating your world. You might not even notice how this old version shows up, because it wears reasonable clothing. It sounds like caution, It sounds like planning. It sounds like, let me just get through this week. It sounds like, I'll do it when I'm less tired. It sounds like, I don't want to bother anyone. And before you know it, you're postponing your own life, politely, quietly, as if your dreams are something you need to earn with perfect timing. But the deeper truth is that timing often improves the moment you improve your self-concept. This old version of you was built in moments when you didn't feel safe being fully yourself. Maybe you were criticized. Maybe you were ignored. Maybe you had to grow up too fast. Maybe you were loved, but only when you performed. So you learned how to predict people, how to keep the peace, how to shrink your needs, how to smile while your nervous system stayed on high alert. That was intelligence. That was adaptation. And you don't have to hate that version of you. You just have to stop letting it run your life. Because survival strategies have an expiration date. A strategy that saved you in one season can sabotage you in the next. The old version of you might have kept you from getting hurt, but it also kept you from being truly seen. It might have kept you from failing, but it also kept you from growing. It might have kept you from disappointment, but it also kept you from devotion. And at some point, your soul gets tired of negotiating with fear. It wants clarity. It wants coherence. It wants you. You can feel the moment it happens. You're about to say the truth, and suddenly you soften it. You're about to set a boundary, and suddenly you laugh it off. You're about to rest, and suddenly you reach for your phone like you're escaping your own silence. You're about to start, and suddenly you research for 3 more hours, as if knowledge will replace courage. These moments seem small, but they're the hinges of your life. This is where realities split. This is where the old version survives, by keeping the new version unborn. And this is why you might feel like you're doing everything right and still not moving, because you can't create a new world from the same internal posture. You can't call in a higher love while assuming you'll be abandoned. You can't call in abundance while bracing for loss. You can't call in peace while your inner world is addicted to urgency. Reality is responsive, and it listens closely to what you consistently embody, not what you occasionally desire. So let's talk about death, the way it actually happens in transformation. It's not dramatic. It's not cruel. It's not punishment. It's a release. It's an identity, shedding like an old skin. And the reason it feels intense is because your ego thinks identity equals safety. Even if the identity hurts, at least it's familiar. Familiar pain can feel safer than unfamiliar freedom. That's why you can crave change and still resist it with your whole system. You're not weak. You're wired for survival. We're just upgrading the wiring. There's a kind of invisible vow many people carry, a vow that whispers under the surface of everyday choices. If I shine, I'll be judged. If I succeed, I'll be alone. If I relax, everything will fall apart. If I ask for more, I'm selfish. If I stop fixing everyone, I won't be needed. These vows are not logical, and that's why arguing with them doesn't work. They live deeper than logic. They live in the body. They live in the energy field. They live in what you expect, without even noticing you expect it. You can see them in patterns. Choosing the emotionally unavailable person and calling it chemistry. Undercharging and calling it humility. Staying quiet and calling it maturity. Overgiving and calling it love. holding your breath through your own life and calling it discipline. The old version of you is a master of disguises. It doesn't say, I'm afraid. It says, I'm just being realistic. It doesn't say, I don't feel worthy. It says, I don't want too much. It doesn't say, I'm terrified of being seen. It says, I like privacy. And maybe you do, but maybe it's also a hiding place. And the world responds accordingly. It mirrors the assumptions. It echoes the expectation. You keep meeting the same energies in different faces, different jobs, same dynamic, different city, same loneliness, different relationship, same ache, because you didn't travel into a new self. You carried the old self into a new setting, and the setting rearranged itself around your internal frequency like iron filings around a magnet, not as punishment, as reflection. Here's the part that can sting, but it can also set you free. Sometimes the biggest obstacle isn't the external world. It's the identity you're protecting. The version of you that wants proof before trust. The version of you that wants certainty before action. The version of you that says, I'll believe it when I see it. Not realizing you often see it after you believe it. The version of you that keeps your heart half open. So if something leaves, it won't take you with it. But life doesn't fully enter half-open doors. Love doesn't settle in a home where you're still waiting for disaster. Opportunity doesn't stay long when you greet it with suspicion. And I'm not saying you should become naive. I'm saying you should become coherent. There's a difference. Coherence is when your thoughts, emotions, and choices are aligned toward the same reality. When your inner world stops sending mixed signals, the outer world stops responding with mixed results. This is why intention alone isn't enough. You can light a candle and say you want transformation, but if your inner identity remains the same, the candle becomes decoration. The real ritual is what you do when no one is watching. The real spell is what you assume about yourself in the quiet moments. The real prayer is how you treat your own energy. Because energy follows attention, and attention follows identity. And identity is the lens through which your entire life is interpreted. So let's create a clear picture of the version that needs to die. It's the one who lives for approval, the one who measures worth by productivity, the one who confuses intensity with love, the one who thinks being chosen equals being safe, the one who keeps checking the outside world for permission to feel okay inside, the one who says, I'm fine, while abandoning themselves in subtle ways every day. That version isn't evil. It's wounded, and it's tired. Now imagine this like a movie scene. Two versions of you standing in the same room. One is holding a stack of old letters, old memories, old labels, gripping them like evidence. The other is standing with empty hands, palms open, eyes steady. The one with empty hands looks calmer, but it's not because life is easier for them. It's because they're not carrying the same weight. They've decided they don't need the old story to explain who they are. And if you listen closely, you'll notice the old version of you speaks fast. It rushes. It catastrophizes. It tries to solve the future tonight. It brings you problems without solutions. Because the goal isn't clarity. The goal is control. The new version speaks slower. It doesn't have to convince. It doesn't have to perform. It doesn't run from discomfort. It can hold intensity without collapsing. It can hold silence without panic. It can hold uncertainty without losing self-trust. The shift begins when you stop identifying with the old voice. When you stop calling it me and start recognizing it as a pattern, a program, a protective mechanism, something you learned. And what you learn, you can unlearn. What you embody, you can transmute. Not by fighting it, but by changing your relationship to it. When you observe the pattern without obeying it, you take away its authority. And authority is what keeps the old version alive. Somewhere in you, there's also a center that feels like quiet fire. Not loud, not aggressive, but undeniable. It's the place where you know what you know, even when you can't explain it. That center is not impressed by your excuses. It doesn't shame you either. It simply waits. It waits for you to come back to yourself. And every time you choose the old identity, you feel a dimming. Not because you're bad, because you've drifted out of alignment with what you truly are. This is where transformation becomes energetic, not just psychological. Because when you choose the new version of you, you're not just changing behaviors. You're changing your signal. You're changing what you expect. You're changing what you tolerate. You're changing what you unconsciously invite. The field around you changes when the field within you becomes coherent. And coherence is the language reality understands. You might notice it first in your body. Your shoulders drop, your breath deepens, your jaw softens, your stomach unclenches, your heart feels less guarded, but not reckless, more spacious, like a room being aired out after years of closed windows. This is your energy returning to you, because the old identity leaks energy through constant self-monitoring. Am I okay? Do they like me? Did I say the right thing? What if it goes wrong? That leak becomes normal until you remember how powerful it feels to be internally anchored. And when you're anchored, you stop chasing. You stop begging for clarity from people who enjoy keeping you confused. You stop trying to earn love through exhaustion. You stop thinking your value is negotiable. You start moving like someone who belongs in the life they desire. And that alone changes everything. Because the world doesn't just respond to what you want. It responds to what you are willing to be. So yes, your life won't change until this version of you dies. The version that needs external confirmation to feel internally real. The version that keeps the heart guarded and calls it independence. The version that confuses safety with smallness. The version that keeps rehearsing loss, so loss won't feel like a surprise. That version has been loyal to pain, and loyalty is powerful. We're just redirecting it toward your freedom. Now let's talk about what people fear when they hear the word die in this context. They fear losing themselves. They fear becoming cold. They fear becoming selfish. They fear not letting go of the identity that made them lovable. But listen, you don't lose your heart when you release survival patterns. You get your heart back. You don't become selfish when you set boundaries. You become clear. You don't become arrogant when you step into worth. You become aligned. A lot of people mistake their wounds for personality. They call anxiety my drive. They call hyper-independence my strength. They call emotional numbness my calm. They call self-sacrifice my love. But beneath all of that, there's a truer self. A self that doesn't need to prove anything. A self that doesn't need to be perfect, to be worthy. A self that can feel deeply without drowning. That self has been there the whole time, waiting for you to stop mistaking protection for identity. If you're sensitive, you might feel this shift as a kind of inner heat rising, like energy moving through places that used to be blocked, like old grief loosening, like a knot in your throat finally softening. Sometimes people cry when they step into a new self, not because they're sad, but because the body releases years of tension. It's like the nervous system finally hears, you can stop bracing now, and that permission alone can feel like a miracle. And it's important to understand something else. The old version of you will not disappear overnight. It will try to negotiate. It will show up when you're tired, when you're hungry, when you're lonely, when you're triggered. It will present itself as logic. It will say, don't risk it. It will say, stay quiet. It will say, wait. And your job is not to destroy it. Your job is to stop crowning it as king, because you don't become powerful by never feeling fear. You become powerful by choosing your truth while fear is present. Fear can ride in the car. It just doesn't get to drive. And the moment you live from that place, you begin to build a new internal evidence, a new identity, not based on what happened to you, but based on what you choose now. This is also where the heart becomes an alchemical element, not as poetry, as function. When you anchor into the heart, you transmute. You take the raw material of experience, the lead of old pain, and you turn it into wisdom, into boundaries, into discernment, into compassion, without self-abandonment. The heart doesn't deny reality. It reorganizes it. It makes your energy clean. And clean energy attracts clean experiences. You may have noticed that when you're out of alignment, you attract confusion, mixed signals, half commitments, delays, small disappointments that stack up until you feel exhausted. But when you're aligned, even challenges feel different. They don't feel like rejection. They feel like refinement. They feel like life helping you become more precise. And precision is a kind of love. It's the universe saying, why? No, not that. Something better fits you now. So let's be honest about what might need to die in you. The version that stays busy, so it never has to feel. The version that needs to be needed. The version that uses humor to avoid intimacy. The version that says yes while feeling no. The version that postpones joy until everything is perfect. The version that keeps collecting lessons instead of living them. The version that confuses spiritual growth with constant struggle. That version has been working hard. It deserves rest. It deserves release. And you might ask, how do I let it die without falling apart? How do I release it without losing myself? You do it the same way nature does it. You don't rip the leaves off the tree. You change the season. You change the conditions. You stop feeding what you're ready to outgrow. You begin feeding what you're ready to become. And the old falls away. Quietly, naturally, inevitably. This is where we shift into something practical, but still gentle. Something you can do right now, while you listen, without needing special tools, without needing a perfect mood. Because the new version of you is not waiting for perfect circumstances. The new version of you creates coherence first, and the circumstances catch up. So take a moment and bring your attention to your breath again. Feel where your breath wants to go, not where you force it, where it naturally wants to settle. And as you breathe, notice the part of you that feels tight. Maybe it's your throat. Maybe it's your chest. Maybe it's your stomach. That tightness is not your enemy. It's information. It's the place where the old identity grips hardest. Now, in your mind, name the old version of you with a simple phrase. Not to shame it, to recognize it. The one who tries to earn love, the one who hides, the one who overthinks, the one who rescues, the one who tolerates. Just name it. And when you name it, you separate from it. You step into the role of observer. And when you observe a pattern clearly, it begins to lose its hypnotic power. Let yourself remember one recent moment when that old version took control. A moment where you betrayed your own truth in a small way. Maybe you didn't speak up. Maybe you apologized when you didn't mean it. Maybe you stayed available for someone who gives you crumbs. Maybe you delayed the work you know you're meant to do. Don't judge yourself. Just see it. Because seeing it is the beginning of release. Clarity is the first kind of mercy. And now, imagine the new version of you stepping into that same moment. The new version moves slower, breath deeper, eyes steadier, not arrogant, just anchored. The new version doesn't beg for permission. The new version doesn't abandon themselves to keep someone comfortable. The new version chooses a cleaner response. And as you imagine it, something in your body will respond. That response is your inner compass. Your system recognizes coherence, like a tuning fork recognizes resonance. Here's the first shift you're going to make, and it's subtle, but it changes everything. You're going to stop asking, how do I get my life to change? And you're going to start asking, who do I have to be so this life becomes normal? Because your life becomes what you normalize. When your nervous system normalizes peace, you stop being drawn to chaos. When your nervous system normalizes being seen, you stop hiding. When your nervous system normalizes receiving, you stop rejecting what you prayed for. So we're going to do this in 3 waves, in a way that feels like a conversation with your own soul. Not rigid, not performative. The first wave is identity. The second wave is assumption. The third wave is action. And when those 3 align, your reality begins to reorganize. Not because you forced it, because you finally became a clear signal. Start with identity, in the simplest form. Choose one sentence that describes the new version of you, and let it be present tense. Not, I will be. Not, I'm trying to be. Present tense. I am the kind of person who... Fill in the blank with something that matches your next level. I am the kind of person who speaks clearly. I am the kind of person who is loved without performing. I am the kind of person who finishes what I start. I am the kind of person who is safe in their own body. Let that sentence land like a seed. Now, as you hold that identity sentence, notice what the old version says back. It might laugh, it might doubt, it might bring up the past. It might show you a memory like evidence, trying to prove you can't become that. And this is where the new version of you does something powerful. It doesn't argue with the past. It doesn't try to erase it. It simply refuses to let the past be the architect of the future. It says quietly, that was then, this is now. And it returns to the identity sentence like returning to center. Then we move into assumption. This is where you decide what is true about you and about life, even before you have external proof. Not in a delusional way, in a coherent way. The kind of coherence that upgrades your signal. Choose one assumption that supports your new identity, like a foundation under a house. It could be, it is safe for me to be seen. It could be, I am always guided toward what is for me. It could be, I attract what matches my self-respect. It could be, my presence is valuable. And when you choose it, you don't need to shout it. You let it settle into your energy like warm water. Now we anchor it into the body, because the body must agree. Put a hand on your chest, if that feels natural, or simply bring attention there. Imagine your breath moving into the center of your chest like a soft light. And as you breathe, let that assumption live in your tone. Not in your mind, in your tone. The way you would say it if you already trusted it. The way you would say it if you were remembering it, not forcing it. When your tone changes, your energy changes. And when your energy changes, your choices become different without you having to fight yourself. And then we move into action, but not massive action, not hustle, not desperation. A single clean behavior that proves the new identity is real. Something small enough that you can do it without drama, but meaningful enough that it changes the pattern. Maybe it's sending the email you've been avoiding. Maybe it's saying no to something you always say yes to, out of guilt. Maybe it's going for a walk without your phone, just to teach your nervous system it can be with you. Maybe it's setting a boundary with kindness. Maybe it's creating for 15 minutes instead of waiting for inspiration. Small, but consistent. That's how the old identity starves. That's how the new identity gains weight. As you do this, you might feel discomfort. Good. Discomfort is not a stop sign. Discomfort is a sign you're leaving the old orbit. The old version of you will call this danger because it confuses unfamiliar with unsafe. But your soul knows the difference. And if you stay with the discomfort without obeying it, you teach your system a new truth. You teach it that you can be seen and survive. You can set boundaries and survive. You can choose yourself and still be loved. Or if not by those people, then by life itself. This is where your reality begins to respond in quiet ways. You might notice you sleep differently. You might notice you stop craving chaos. You might notice you stop explaining yourself so much. You might notice you don't feel as hungry for validation. And then slowly, the outer world catches up. A conversation changes. An opportunity appears. A door opens. Or maybe, more importantly, you stop settling for half-open doors. You stop calling breadcrumbs a meal. And yes, sometimes when the old version starts dying, life tests you. Not as punishment, as confirmation. It brings you the same pattern in a new costume to see if you'll choose differently. The same kind of person, the same kind of offer, the same kind of temptation to abandon yourself. And the moment you choose the new response, the pattern breaks. It's like a chain snapping. You feel it. You feel the power return. So if you're in a season where old things are resurfacing, don't panic. Old emotions, old memories, old people, old doubts. That doesn't mean you're going backward. It often means the system is clearing, like a room being cleaned. Dust rises before it settles. Let it rise. Let it move. Don't build a home in it. Feel it, bless it, and let it pass through. There's also grief here, and we honor it, because you're not just letting go of pain. You are letting go of who you were. In order to survive that pain, you are letting go of the identity that got you through, and that can feel tender. You may grieve the years you spent waiting. You may grieve the ways you abandoned yourself. You may grieve the love you tried to earn. Let that grief be holy. Let it be cleansing. Let it be the water that makes room for new growth. And you might notice something else. As the old version fades, your intuition sharpens. Your inner guidance becomes louder. not in volume, but in clarity. You know what's for you. You know what isn't. You can feel it quickly. Your body becomes a compass again. Your heart becomes a truth teller again. You stop needing 10 opinions. You stop outsourcing your knowing. This is also where your energy centers begin to harmonize. Your voice becomes cleaner because your throat is no longer choking on unsaid truths. Your heart becomes warmer because it's no longer guarded by resentment. Your solar center strengthens because you stop giving your power away through apology. Your root relaxes because you stop living as if disaster is your only guaranteed future. And when these centers align, you become a stable signal. Stable signals attract stable experiences. Now let's bring this into real-life examples, because transformation isn't meant to stay abstract. Imagine you're the person who always responds immediately, even when it drains you. The old version says, if I don't answer right now, they'll leave. The new version says, I can respond when I'm regulated. And you wait, you breathe, you answer when you're calm. That one shift teaches your nervous system that you don't have to earn safety through urgency. That is a death. And it is also a birth. Or imagine you're the person who keeps starting things and not finishing. The old version says, if I finish, I'll be judged. The new version says, completion is self-respect. And you do 15 minutes. Not perfect, just consistent. That teaches your energy to trust you again. Because a big part of confidence is simply keeping promises to yourself. When you keep promises, your inner world becomes coherent. And coherence is magnetic. Or imagine you're the person who keeps attracting partners who can't meet you emotionally. The old version says, I have to prove I'm worth staying for. The new version says, I'm not auditioning. And you stop over-giving. You stop over-explaining. You watch actions. You honor your needs. That shift will feel like loneliness at first, because you're stepping out of the old pattern's noise. But the silence isn't emptiness. It's space. Space where a new kind of love can finally enter. This is why the old version fights so hard, because the old version is addicted to familiar stimulation, even when it's painful. The new version is calmer, and calm can feel strange if your nervous system learned to associate chaos with aliveness. But calm is where your power lives. Calm is where your discernment lives. Calm is where your manifestations land, because your energy isn't scattered. So when you feel that moment of temptation to return to the old self, pause. Not for long, just long enough to remember. Remember that the old version of you promises safety, but delivers repetition. The new version of you feels unfamiliar, but delivers freedom. And freedom is not always comfortable at first. Freedom is spacious. It asks you to stand in your own presence without distraction. It asks you to be the source. Let's do a quick integration right now. Close your eyes if you can, or soften your gaze if you can't. Let your shoulders drop a little. Feel your feet, even if you're sitting, and say quietly in your mind, I release the version of me that no longer fits. Let it be simple. Let it be true. And then say, I welcome the version of me that is ready now. Notice what you feel. Maybe warmth, maybe resistance, maybe emotion. Whatever it is, it's okay. You're not doing it wrong. You're doing it honestly. And if resistance rises, treat it with respect. Resistance is just an old protector. It's not a villain. It's a guard who doesn't know the war is over. So speak to it kindly. You can literally say inside, "Thank you. I know you tried to keep me safe. You can rest now." That kindness is not weakness. It's mastery. Because what you fight, you feed. What you love, you transform. Now remember the small action you chose earlier, that clean behavior that proves your new identity. Commit to doing it within the next day. Not when you feel like it. Not when the mood is perfect. Just within the next day. And when you do it slowly. Do it with breath. Do it with presence. Because you're not just doing an action. You're installing a new identity. You're telling reality, this is who I am now. And here's what I want you to hold close. Your life changes in the moment you stop negotiating with the old version of you. Not the moment everything looks different outside. The moment you choose differently inside. The moment you stop betraying yourself in small ways. The moment you honor your own energy. That moment is the true beginning. Everything else is just the echo catching up. So if you've been waiting for a sign, let this be it. If you've been waiting for permission, let this be it. If you've been waiting to feel ready, let this be your reminder that readiness often arrives after the decision, not before it. You don't become the new version of you by thinking about it. You become it by practicing it, gently, consistently, with devotion. And I'll say it one more time, because repetition is how truth sinks into the nervous system. Your life won't change until this version of you dies. The version that needs external proof to feel internally real. The version that confuses control with safety. The version that calls self-abandonment love. The version that keeps living from old vows. Let it go. Let it rest. Let it dissolve. Because what's coming through when it dies isn't a stranger. It's you. The you who was there before the performance. The you who doesn't need to chase. The you who knows how to receive. The you who can speak cleanly and love deeply without losing yourself. The you who moves with quiet certainty, not loud confidence. The you who doesn't demand that life be perfect to feel at peace. If you felt something open while listening, stay close. Follow the channel and come back whenever you need to realign. And keep your word in the comments with that one word you chose, because that word is your anchor, your reminder, your signal. You're not here to repeat the past. You're here to outgrow it. And when you outgrow it, reality has no